3.
Zuri.
Herzog Spy. Herzog Uno.
Herzog Y. Herzog Y.
Herzog, why do you do this to me?
Herzog, why you do this to me, Herzog?
Herzog.
Herzog. Welcome back, everybody, to the Turbo Throwdown. For you, it's been, I don't know when you're putting this out, but it hasn't been that long. For us, it's been like a year or something.
We've aged.
We've aged since that first episode was recorded.
I've got sandbags under my eyes, facial hairs coming back.
Before we start this episode of Throwdown, I would just like to applaud you, Teddy. Just give you a big round of applause for not only resurrecting a video that was supposed to be on my channel that I had totally abandoned, but also I think like multiple times during the episode I like say something about like I'm gonna edit this in or like I'll do this later, and then you do it. So for the viewer, it looks like they're probably like, "Oh man, Alex really did that." I didn't do shit. I just want to say, it's all Teddy. Good job, Teddy.
Thank you. We're a team. We recorded this a while ago. Not this moment, this video here today, but the Turbo Throwdown, and I wanted to bring it back because I thought it was a really solid concept and I thought there was something to work with. And apparently the last episode showed that. The Battle of the Kids. I don't know if today's will fit as nicely thematically, but we are in round 2. It's Shinobi III versus Beyond Oasis.
Matchup for the ages.
Oh, and I have my copy of the Genesis collection to hold up.
Oh god, hold on, wait. Let me go get mine.
While Alex gets his physical copy of Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, I will just plug the video. This is a throwdown of all games on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, and we are here to figure out which is the best of the games on the collection by putting them up in little 1v1s, tournament style, brackets and all.
I paid $16.19 faded. I think it's $16.19 for this copy.
I paid eBay. How much I tore it off.
I have the weird Spider-Man font because mine's like an early release, so it's on the side.
Oh. Well, there you have it, folks. Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection.
Sony.
We are now in episode 2. We got a battle of adventure versus arcade.
Yes.
I don't know what to call this. It's Shinobi III Return of the Ninja Master. Is that the right title?
Yeah. Yes.
Versus Beyond Oasis, The Legend of Thor in Japan or Europe.
No, in Japan, it's the story of Thor, or the story of Thor, successor of the light.
Wow.
Yeah. Beyond Oasis here.
I don't see the connection. I don't know why we put these against each other.
Some of these matchups, because we're working, because people that are wondering, we're working solely in the confines of this collection. That's how we're doing this first season. Some of these matchups are not going to make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So just roll with us.
I guess the closest connection is that Prince Ali hunts treasure and Shinobi is a treasure. So it's a battle of the treasures.
I think in terms of like Genesis games, both of these games are held in pretty high regards. So
Battle of the Besties.
Battle of the Besties, yeah.
Aww. Ali and Joe Musashi.
Aww.
The best friends.
Joe Musashi. No, that's the battle. It's the Battle of the Lees. So Joe Musashi, Ali.
Battle of the E's.
Battle of the E's.
Battle of the Eyes.
Well, I guess I'm going first because that's what we did the last episode. So I'm going to talk about Shinobi 3, not Shinobi 3. Shinobi 3 Return of the Ninja Master. You know, the Shinobi series is, like I said, a series in terms of the earlier games are held in very high regards. And unlike the other game we're going to talk about today, I have a very, very strong bias towards the Shinobi franchise. I really do enjoy it. I think I've played all the games except for like that Saturn one, like Legions. It's like stupidly expensive and looks weird anyway. So we're talking about Shinobi 3 today. I am going to be a little bit biased because Shinobi 3 is like one of my favorite Genesis games of all time. Shinobi 3 is a action arcade game where you play as Joe Musashi. It is in fact the third game in the Shinobi series. I don't know if you could guess that, but there you go. Let me read the plot here. Neo Zed, which is Zed, but again, is threatening the world once more. The evil crime syndicate, thought to have been vanquished 2 years earlier, I guess in revenge of Shinobi, has returned, headed by a man only known as the Shadow Master. Joe Musashi has felt their presence and descends from the lonely mountaintops of Japan to face his nemesis once more. In my honest opinion, I think Shinobi 3 is like one of the best 16-bit action games that was available during this time. It is to me, it's like the definition of a ninja game. It makes you feel like a badass ninja. There's a lot of cool set pieces within this game. Of course, it has the classic Shinobi shuriken throwing action and, up close slashing. It also has some cool platforming segments. It has segments where you ride on horses and surfboards. It has really, really hard bosses. And it's a really tough game, but I think all around it's such a rewarding experience once you get good at this game. And I've always loved Shinobi 3.
And there is a lot to love. I think it's kind of epic when you go into some of the stages for the first time or first time in a while. It's always nice the kind of change of pace, from one level's kind of more traditional, side-to-side platforming, and then the next you're on a wakeboard. Or the horseback riding. I think it just kind of lends this feel of I think this is probably the quintessential Shinobi game for many reasons.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game too. I think it has some really cool backgrounds and set pieces and stuff. It just looks really nice on the Genesis. And I don't know, man. I like I said, I'm very biased when it comes to this game. But every time I start playing this game, I played it a couple of days ago on a live stream just to prep for this. And even though I've played it, I don't know how many times now, every time I go into it, the awesome music starts playing. I see the background elements and the visuals, and I just get immersed back into this game. It always sucks me back in. Shinobi 3 is just a banger of an action game.
I think it's very functional too, the use of the kunai. That's there, right? The thrown daggers.
Yeah.
And then the jutsu. So, you can complete a level for the most part without using any jutsu, but they're nice kind of savers. I think I played up to round 4 the other night, and I've beaten this game a couple times, but one of the big moments for me is at the end of I think it's like that kind of like Metroid looking level with the brains hopping around. There's like a giant like...
Oh, the big goo monster guy?
Yeah, giant like brainy creature. And I think you really have to be conscious of how you're fighting against it. It's not your traditional like 3-hit and quit kind of boss. It's like, you know, jump up, throw a dagger in his eye. He sends a hand after you, pauses exactly where he's at, and then you got to like somersault over him, but you're like freezing him in his tracks. You got to throw like 20 kunai into this guy's face. If you play good, you could save the power up feature for like whatever boss you're fighting, and it'll help you clear it faster. But that's really hard. Sometimes I found that it was really hard to dodge enemy fire. Like if they're throwing shooting bullets at you pretty low. I had trouble dodging. The double jump can be tricky, but it's functional. I know there are other games like Super Metroid's kind of tough with like wall jumps. This game has functional wall jumps. I didn't have a problem with that. And then sometimes it catches me off guard with like, there's like pipes in level 3 that you're supposed to like hang from. And I just forgot. So I thought like I had to somersault my way through it. And I need to like take a day, spend away from it, and then be like, oh yeah, I can just hold on to this. So pretty interesting.
If we want to go into the pros and cons of this game, I think that I've listed a ton of pros already, but if I have to list some cons right off the bat, definitely gotta be that it's almost Castlevania-ish in a way, that it's got its own like style of control that can feel a little clunky. Like and the game especially you can't just rush, you know, head on and into boss fights in this game. Like you have to take your time and be, you know, mindful of your spacing and jumping and everything. And that coupled with the stiff controls at points, I think can lead to, you know, the game feeling a little unfair at points.
Yeah, that, and I think sometimes the bosses are a little repetitious. Not across bosses, but within the boss fight. It just does seem like I am doing a little bit of the same thing over and over again. But it's nitpicking. I don't think it's detrimental to the game.
No, but I'm trying not to, like, toot its horn too much. I want to make sure I talk about things that could definitely be improved upon, because I'm not saying it's just, like, the end-all, be-all. But
yeah, understandable.
In terms of the Shinobi franchise, it definitely is.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's the third Shinobi. Shinobi 3. Shinobi Musashi. He's a double E.
Double E.
Speaking of guys whose last name rhymes with T, which I was drinking a second ago, we have Prince Ali in Beyond Oasis, otherwise known as The Story of Thor.
The Story of Thor, Successor of the Light.
Successor of the Light.
Beyond Oasis is just easier to say.
Yeah, I agree. It all starts here with Prince Ali on one of his treasure hunts. He comes across an uncharted island. Oh, it's Nathan Drake. Near the land of Oasis. And while exploring the island's cave, he discovers an armlet made of gold. As soon as he puts on the armlet, a strange glow fills the cave, and an ethereal face appears and begins speaking to him. My son. No, he doesn't say that. But he does tell you that you have been bequeathed with an armlet that has mystical powers where you can summon these spirits, a couple of which are like a fire spirit, a water spirit, and a couple other ones I didn't unlock. This is a unique game. It's often compared to Legend of Zelda, reasonably so. It is a top-down action-adventure game with a guy with a little dagger, a little sword. And it's actually, you know, we talked about visual spectacles. It is kind of impressive. Just the look of the whole game. I found that like the style was really signature. It had this kind of like medieval Middle Eastern feel. It's Prince Ali, and like there's like a royal king and queen, and they send you into a couple caves where there's like soldiers and slimes. It does have that kind of old school RPG look and vibe to it. And each dungeon that you go through has a unique boss that you're supposed to vanquish in order to stop some evil sorcerer or something. I didn't pay too much attention to the plot because a lot of it is locked behind the opening screen. And basically the king just directs you which dungeon you're supposed to go in at any given time. There are a total of like 14 sections of the game. I don't know if it's that many dungeons. I wouldn't call it that. It's probably like closer to 10. I got as far as Rock Beach Cave. So I had taken down 2 bosses. I had gotten the fire spirit and the water spirit. And there's a couple more spirits from there on out. It's a very interesting system because, you know, the Genesis has 3 buttons, primarily A, B, C. And A is your magic feature where you can summon your spirit. So like the first one is like a pixie, a water pixie you get after clearing the first dungeon. Kind of useless. It's just like a bubble attack. But the pixie will also roam around the screen and do various things. You can use it to put out fires. Once you get the fire spirit, it's a lot more useful. It's kind of like a kind of just a bodyguard that punches guys with his flaming fist, and you can use them to melt ice cubes and stuff. The B button is your weapon attack. Now, this is very Breath of the Wild-esque, interestingly enough, because it has breakable weapons, primarily swords and bows. But if you break those, it defaults back to your dagger, which is kind of wimpy. You really want to save the swords and bows for the boss battles, I noticed. And kind of a little tip and trick is when you go back to the king's castle after clearing anything, they replenish the chests in the basement, which have a sword and a bow. So you can always restock on them if you're short one. The sword does a bit more damage. It has a better girth. So pretty nice for, you know, dicking around. And I thought that the combat was good. There's a C button as well you can use for jumping. You can kind of navigate between like ducking down and hitting enemies that are low, like snakes and cobras, or you can hit them at ground level, or you could kind of like turn around on the control stick and it'll do kind of like a circular slash, or you could do a jumping slash. I tend to play all my fighting games that way. Like if I don't know the controls, I just do like flying jump kicks, and that's kind of what I was doing in Beyond Oasis, flying dagger slashes. And it's I'd say it's competent as an action game. In some ways, more so than some Zelda games. The puzzle solving's okay. The creatures are not too memorable. But I do think it is an impressive open adventure game on the Genesis. Also, as you get into the later stages, there are some impressive scaling effects. So like at one point you're on a soldier's ship. You get it like abducted, I guess. And you can see the screen moving up and down as though you were at sea. It's really cool.
Yeah, I've never delved too far into this game. And I always sort of assumed it was just like a Zelda knockoff. But in preparation for this, I actually did play a little bit ways in, and I have to say I was fairly impressed by what I played. I think if you were looking for that kind of like action adventure style game, like this game definitely fill that role on the Genesis. And yeah, it had some like really nice looking sprites and some really nice looking like animation. Not like animations, but like the cutscenes. Never show like the little characters and stuff. Like they just like the art design looked really nice. The combat did feel a little weird at first. How they had to do like a combo system, or like you have to do like a button commands for like the like spinning your sword and stuff. Felt a little bizarre at first. I'll tell you what I didn't like. I didn't like how big the sprites are in this game.
Yeah.
That's an issue which I know it could just be me, but I have that issue with a lot of 16-bit games. I think sometimes they just make the sprites a little too big, and it felt like Prince Ali was taking up a little too much of the the top part of the screen. And it kind of like made me feel like I was missing like a view, like I felt like it had to be zoomed out a little bit, and it wasn't. So that was kind of distracting me like the whole time I was playing. I felt like the game should have been zoomed out a little bit.
Yeah, then I think it wouldn't look as like 16-bit as it is, because I don't know that I necessarily want this to be Link to the Past for the Genesis. It's not identical in many ways because like Zelda has like the
Not.
whole item mechanic where in dungeons you get signature items, but in this game it's your spirits. It's not, I don't think it's fair to say, I'm not saying you say this, but like, for the internet to be like, oh, it's a Zelda for the Genesis. It's not. It's, in fact, it's probably closer to more like Shining in the Darkness or something.
Mm-mm. I think Zelda is just the most comparable thing, to like that genre of game.
Yeah,
So I think that's why it's used. Even in like it's even in like the Wikipedia article here I'm seeing. It even
right.
mentions like similar to the Zelda series. Um, and like I said, I think if you were looking for an action adventure game like Zelda, I think this could fill the niche. And it seems like it's got a lot of meat on its bones.
Yeah.
Seems like a pretty big game.
I think it's like mostly clearable without a walkthrough too. Like it's like 5 hours. The only thing is like there are some things that are just not clear. Like you're supposed to like use your summons on elements. So for instance, once you get the pixie, you're supposed to find a body of water and then use the magic thing to summon the pixie. And then you have to know where to use it. Use it in a fire area. And so sometimes I'm just a little lost in terms of exploration. But I only really looked at the walkthrough like twice. There is some annoying backtracking in dungeons. So like the puzzle mechanic's okay. You need to go get a key sometimes or pull a lever or do some switches or stuff. A lot of classic RPG style stuff. Drop a heavyweight ball and push it on a button or something. You did have a footnote about the laughs.
It's the death sounds. Whenever you kill the enemy, like the bigger enemies, and they die, they sound fucking hilarious. They're like, ah! That was cracking me up the entire time I was playing. Every time I'd kill an enemy, I was like, ah! I was like, Jesus.
I have to thank you for that because I was playing with the sound off because I didn't think much of the soundtrack. And then once you told me, I went back and listened and it was hilarious. Just the sound effects.
You gotta love that, like Bit Crush 16-bit compressed voices like that. Super funny. But yeah, this game, I went into it because, like I said, whenever I've tried to play it before, it was more like I would just boot up the beginning part, then he would like get off the boat, and then I would run around for a minute. And I was like, oh, okay, it's a Zelda. So I never really gave it much of a chance, but I'm glad I did. This might actually be a game that I might just go back to and actually try to make my way through because it impressed me.
Agreed. Yeah, it was surprisingly impressive. Like I underestimated it, I think. Because anytime, if we didn't do this episode, I would not have played as far as I would have into it. I would have played up to the plant boss and just stopped and been like, fine. But it's got something to it. So I guess we could do quick pro and quick con for each game.
Pro and con.
Shinobi 3 pros.
Jesus. God, it's just a really fun arcade game. I don't know where to even start with the pros.
Yeah, fun, functional, breathtaking in many regards in terms of style, sound, visuals, and possibly the best Shinobi game. It's up for debate.
Yeah.
Cons of Shinobi 3?
It's very tough. So it's not a leisurely game, let's just say that. And like I said, the controls can feel a little stiff at points. I feel like that's a big con.
Yeah,
that double jump.
I think that the double jump is tricky. There is a rhythm to it once you get it. And some of the platforming can be intense, but if you can make it through those segments, you got a hell of a game waiting for you.
You have to learn the game's rhythm.
Yeah,
is the thing. You have to you need to learn how the game wants you to play.
Right. And you need to remember when you play it to press certain inputs.
Okay.
Beyond Oasis.
Beyond Oasis. Pros.
I'll go first. I think that in this genre, the Genesis is kind of lacking, but it kind of blends some cool styles of like beat 'em up into 2D overworld adventure, and it's rewarding. Like I think figuring out what to do with certain puzzles and certain dungeons, everything's kind of manageable, and I think it kind of screams Genesis in terms of its style. Like, just even though a character looks a little derpy, zoomed in, and some of the characters and the laughs are funny, I think it's just kind of that Genesis attitude, and it's nice to see that seep into the game.
I really like the Arabian Nights style the game goes for. I feel like that's not something that I see very often in like fantasy games. It's more of like Arabian Night inspired. Most fantasy games that I play are more like medieval inspired. So I did really enjoy that element of the game, and I think it's just a really good looking game. I think it's just it functions. I don't know if I'd say it plays as well as it could, but it functions for what it needs to do. And I don't know. I had a fun time with it.
Agreed. As far as cons, while it does function, the dagger is weak as shit, and I didn't like having to duck down to attack low on some enemies or jump high to attack others. Sometimes it was just like a circus act trying to hit some of these guys. And the weapon breaking thing kind of pisses me off, but I get why they did it, because like otherwise, why would you use the dagger? But then why not just give them the option between a sword and a bow and let them pick up arrows?
My big con is still just I think the game just is too zoomed in. I think the sprites just take up too much of the screen real estate. It's the same way I feel about like Mega Man 7, which I've expressed many times before. I just think the sprites are just too big. That it's a little distracting. It doesn't break the game for me, but it is distracting while I play.
Right. Well, don't let the cons dissuade you. It's a hell of a game, and we got to put them up in a throwdown. Shinobi 3
ding, ding, ding.
versus Beyond Oasis.
In this corner!
Joe Musashi.
Yeah. All the way from the mountains of Japan, Joe Musashi.
And in this corner, he's known by many in his kingdom as the son of the king. It's, wait for it, Prince Ali. Ali, Ali.
Ding, 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 ding. Oh, they're going at it. You just put up two like sprites. Oh, they're going at it. They're fighting. This is a tough one because we're putting up two completely different style games.
Right. But we're gonna see who's the winner. We're gonna say our winners on 3. Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2,
1.
Shinobi 3.
Yeah, Shinobi 3.
Yeah, to me it's close though. It's like an A versus a B. You know,
I don't even know if it'd say that. I'll say it's like an A+ versus an A.
That's fair. I could see that. I don't know if I'm ready to give Beyond Oasis the A though. Are you?
No, you know what it is though? I think the problem here is that this is the third Shinobi entry. They've had time to like, you know, to refine the game from the first two entries, and Beyond Oasis is really just spreading its little wings, and it has much to improve on.
Right. Although these guys, they worked on something.
Ancient?
Yeah, Ancient.
No, they've done other stuff. I don't know what else. I know the name though.
Oh, they've done a lot of games. They did Streets of Rage 2, 3. They did Sonic on the Game Gear. ActRaiser 2. Yeah, this is a company. But
yeah, I don't want to
early.
shit on Beyond Oasis, but yeah, it's definitely a game that still needed a little bit of and it's only a little bit of work. I think it's not quite there.
Right.
Almost there. It's almost there.
Yeah. And to its credit, I want to finish it. I wouldn't mind doing that for like a Button Mappers episode or something.
Yeah. Shinobi 3 is just a fucking classic.
Hell yeah.
Every time I buy one of these stupid collections, or I get the mini, or even like the Switch Genesis service that they have now, you know what I do? The first thing I do is I always try out Shinobi 3.
Yeah.
Because it's a good game. It's just a really fun game.
Right. And, it didn't take me long. 'Cause my gut's like, oh, I want to represent the game I'm playing, Beyond Oasis. And I do appreciate it, but I also played a couple rounds into Shinobi 3, and I'm like, oh, man, this is a top-tier Genesis game.
We were talking before the recording. It is funny. I'm looking on the Wikipedia article for both, and at the time, Beyond Oasis actually got higher review scores than Shinobi 3. I wonder if that was more of like a push against like arcade gaming at the time. Like, we're moving away from arcades into like home consoles with like adventure games and stuff. I wonder if like that was part of the idea behind that, but like. Yeah, I mean, technically at the time, Beyond Oasis would have, if you asked the critics, the critics back then, they would have picked Beyond Oasis over Shinobi 3.
Enough said. But what will you choose, viewer?
You.
Yeah, you.
And if it's not Shinobi 3, it fucking should be.
But if not, tell us why. Shinobi 3 versus Beyond Oasis. Let us know in the comments below. And stay tuned for the next matchup for the Throwdown. It's going to be a classic. This one probably makes more sense. Battle of the Beat-em-ups. Golden Axe versus Streets of Rage.
Let us know who you want to win.
Yeah. Let's get some
hype.
hype.
One. Yeah.
Hype for...
that one can go either way.
That's true. What's the gnome's name?
Gilius Thunderhead.
Gilius Thunderhead versus Axel. Where Axel, do you lie?
I can name all the characters in both games, so that's how good these games are.
Alex can go either way.
Yeah, exactly. I'm representing Golden Axe, and I don't even know where I'm gonna land on this. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys.
And we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time on the Turbo Throwdown.
Amazing.
John Cena walks out.
I'm Turbo.
I'm John Cena.